What it is, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Third Intermission Podcast. This is your boy Dave, signing on for the evening. Of course, follow us on the socials at Toronto Third, both on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow us on Blue Sky. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast from. That includes Spotify, Google, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and of course, our friends over at Podbean. And of course, last but not least, like, follow, and subscribe, and hit that bell on YouTube because we be hitting you with new stuff every week. Anyways, just it me and of course the right hand of the king on the ones and twos here. Of course, just reeling from one of the most beautiful moments in football history. And no, I'm not talking about Paraguay rocking Germany in penalty kicks in the round of 32. I'm talking about Canada knocking off South Africa back on Sunday. The only round of 32 game on Sunday, and of course Canada's first foray into the round of 16. Of course, I'm wearing my Davies jersey for today's episode, so just want to give some love out to the boys over there right now. They're currently they're currently training to be playing on America's birthday in Houston, which I find openly weird, and I mean openly weird.
The FIFA scheduling of this was just I know I wrote about it. I wrote about this last week, but it does suck that I understand if Canada won their group, if they won Group B, they would play the rest of the games up until then in Vancouver. But
Yeah,
the fact that one of the hosts has to leave their nation just sucks.
what was it? The first time in like 95 years that's ever happened?
Yeah.
That's insane. And you know what? Like, I understand, and it's like, oh, okay, you should have won your group. But again, you're a host nation playing in somebody else's backyard. That's like, and forgive me for using this analogy, that's like literally going to your best friend's house. That's just rude. That's just rude. You don't do that. You don't do that. Again, that's different people business. That's not our business. It's just
We
that's just something you don't do.
we don't partake in that during intermission. We don't partake in them
Exactly.
and them things.
Right? Yo, listen, we're Canadians. We don't steal another man's rhubarb, right? Like, just saying. Anyways, Avery, how are we feeling after this? And now that we're going into the round of 16 against potentially either the Dutch or the Moroccans on
Mhm.
July the 4th, what's the sense of like just feeling right now?
I
Because like,
think
you
right.
can see,
Mhm.
like I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad. It's
Yeah.
just I just wanted to get this out before you answered. Like you're seeing you're seeing pride among Canadians that we've never seen, or sorry, that we rarely see. Like we only see it during the Olympics. We see it during like say, like when ironically enough, there's a Canadian team in one of the big four, like the World Series or the NBA Finals or even the Stanley Cup Finals. Of course, there's no Canadian team in the NFL, which is why we have the Grey Cup. Also, better football anyway. But um, we haven't seen this much unity across the country, and I have never seen people wear soccer jerseys like so heavily, let alone Canada soccer jerseys before. Like, what's the sense of feeling right now? Like, especially since you were in Vancouver for Canada, Switzerland.
Mhm. You know what? They've just that march to BC Place was ridiculous. That march to BC Place, seeing well over 1,000 fans in unity was something that we've never had before. I mean, we've had support for our national teams before, yes,
Hmm.
but it felt unreal because the men's national team has never been in this spot before, never been a team that's been this respected as much. And now that they are going to the round of 16, right now, this is house money. This is a bonus. Like the goal was get to the round of 32. And now they're going to the round of 16, Dave. This is playing with house money. Whatever happens now, it is what it is. Would it be cool to knock off Morocco or Holland? Absolutely. Am I aware how tough that's going to be? Of course. They're playing teams that are powerhouse. They are giants. These are two teams they could face that are inside the top 15 in the FIFA ranking. This is not going to be an easy task.
No,
But
it isn't.
no, but either way, getting here after where this team was 10 remember When Canada was part of that bid and won the bid with USA and Mexico to host this World Cup, Team Canada was ranked 109th in the world. 109th. This men's program was not in a good place. This men's program was fighting to beat Martinique and Guadeloupe, and they were trying hard to be a competitive CONCACAF team, much as a good team in the world stage. So from that to now, it's beautiful.
No, I couldn't agree more. And you know what? Like I'm being in the building when, say, like other countries are playing, like say for example Ghana and Panama, or
Hmm.
Panama and Croatia.
Yeah.
Like I had just narrowly missed the Germany Ivory Coast game a couple
Hmm.
weeks ago. Um, Seeing the atmosphere for Canada Bosnia in Toronto while I was failing my G test. I'm not gonna lie, like the energy was absolutely insane, and it still is insane because it's like, yesterday was an absolute party. I'm gonna be completely honest, right? Like I haven't seen anything this crazy in a long time, and you know what? Like anything can genuinely happen at this World Cup. Like we almost saw Brazil get eliminated today against Japan, and that would have been a giant killing situation. I literally got home to see Paraguay knock off like a German squad that was heavily considered a favorite at this tournament, right? And they're like what, four-time World Cup champions. You get knocked off by a small South American nation, and it's just absolutely crazy. Now it's just like anything can genuinely happen, right? If we see Sweden beat France out of nowhere on Tuesday, like it looks like Canada's path might be a little bit easier, but like I mean, knock on wood, like that might happen. Um, Hell, anything can happen if Cabo Verde actually comes out of nowhere and smokes Argentina. Like just I feel like this might be the most unpredictable World Cup we'll ever have. But like again, like if the script is for Messi to face Ronaldo at the final in New Jersey, then it is what it is. But like I don't know. I kind of want to see Canada put up a fight and be the first North American nation to reach a semi. So,
Yeah. It would be fun. I see Mr. Jason's in the house as well.
yeah, we got the Oddfather in the building. Jason, what's going on?
Yo, yo, yo. Wagwan. Big up Canada. Yo, me
Yes.
said the boy play the ball off him chest and right on him foot, brethren, and in the back of the net. Yo, goal. Goal. But yo, Avery, you said some things, man. We're playing with house money right now. It doesn't even matter who we play next. All we got to do is just show out. And I think when Davies touched the pitch, yo, it was just you could see they started moving forward more if you're watching the game. As
Hmm.
soon as Davies came on the pitch, the entire team just the energy just shifted. They just started to attack and pressure and attack and pressure. And it turned out in our favor, man. So shout out the Canadian men's soccer team. The work is not done. Salute you guys. I'm glad I was able to witness some history still.
No,
Yeah, no, you're totally right, Jason.
I fully agree. And you know what? Like honestly, I'm I'm genuinely happy to see what happens next over the next little while. Could we see Canada make the quarterfinals? Potentially. It really depends on, say, the next round of 16 or the next round of 32 game that's currently being played while we're recording right now, between the Dutch and the Moroccans. And that's going to be something that we are definitively going to keep an eye on. I know when this episode drops, hopefully before Canada's next game, we'll have a clear picture of who we're facing and everything. We know Jesse March is down in Mexico right now watching this, and we should probably be watching this too. So we're gonna try and go through this episode real quick. A couple of things to talk about. Obviously, of course, we just discussed one, Canada going through the round of 16 after beating the South Africans in stoppage time on Sunday. Um, Gavin McKenna, of course, is a Leaf. Of course, I was kind of throwing some wrenches in the plans, but also at the same time, like it wasn't a consent, like it wasn't a fully unanimous number one, at least in my mind. But you know what? Like obviously, that thought had to be out there. We're going to discuss that real quick. We're also going to look at San Jose San Jose's draft, and they had a masterclass of things. We're going to touch on that really quickly. And then, of course, last but not least, the NHL of Houston. Really? They're going to try this again? Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're going to discuss that too. All right, first things first. The NHL draft did take place back on Friday, I believe, was in Buffalo, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
All right, and of course, Zach Bryan dropping a pick for Nashville 90 minutes before he had to run off to go do his concert. But, of course, we all knew that. Well, most of us knew that the Leafs were going to draft a certain somebody at number one. Of course, in my mind, like there was a potential where, say, if Canada or sorry, if the Leafs, excuse me, had decided to go a different route, obviously, would there be a little bit of chaos? Would there be a little bit of just like, what the hell are we doing here? And essentially, that I guess that school of thought was just right there. And of course, as Leaf fans, it's like, if the Leafs screw up something, then like obviously we're never gonna hear the end of it. But the Leafs didn't do that. They drafted, of course, the number one overall pick in Gavin McKenna. Um, very happy for Leafs Nation. Of course, I'm very happy myself that we have someone that solid coming in at number one. Obviously, a very highly touted prospect coming out of Penn State. Of course, just missing out on the NCAA hockey championship. Uh, I, I could go on and on about this kid's stats and everything, but like just Avry, Jason. First things first, before both you guys kind of go off and explode. Um, how are we feeling about this pick?
It was the right pick. It was. I know you're trying to.
As
He,
Avery's muted real quick.
he definitive guy you take. The best player in the draft. That's a guy you cannot pass on. We saw what he did at Penn State. We saw what he did in Medicine Hat. That was the guy you have to take 10 times out of 10. And I want to see where he's going to slot in now on this roster. And I think the big thing for Leafs right now is you don't have to rush him. You don't have to rush him or rely upon him to save your franchise. You still have Austin Matthews, William Nylander. You don't have to rush him right now. But watching him get picked, I gotta say as much, Dave, on the and Dave and Jason. Yo, if you're gonna have, I have no problems at all using Bieber in that pick. I have no problem at all. It was how they had Bieber used. The whole Mr. McKenna, we want to select you. What? Have him stick to the simple line of the Maple Leafs select from Penn State Gavin McKenna. No freestyling on that one. That was lame.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Look, I mean, if you're gonna use a celebrity to draft a player, then like obviously the NBA needs to probably do the same thing. But at the same point in time, like that's just a little much. That's just a little bit too much, in my opinion.
It turned in too much into the Bieber show when it should have been the Gavin McKenna moment, I felt. So
Mhm. But it was nice for the Leafs to just unveil the phone call between Gavin and, of course, Matt Sundin, our senior executive advisor, and, of course, John Chayka, our general manager and vice president, I guess. But just, it was a very nice, poignant moment for the Leafs to reveal that and just, see the behind the scenes of everything, saying, like, hey, congratulations, you're a Maple Leaf and everything. Unfortunately, you have to throw a little celebrity in there, but like just that kind of just felt a little overkill, and it just feels like the NHL is kind of running ideas into the draft. Like, I guess I get that it's not supposed to be boring, but I don't feel like that was the right call to make. I mean, you could have chosen Will Arnett of all people, but like still, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Jason, how are you feeling about this pick?
The pick was the right pick. That was a no-brainer. And I like what you said, like where you were talking about the phone call before, because I was on the plantation and I was watching on like I have live TV, so I was watching and I could see him start to like tear up and put his head down. And I figured those guys were calling him, but pertaining, and I thought that was a good look by the organization. But pertaining to the Justin Bieber thing, like he should have, like, to me, like, I get it, but then like he could have just said like how Avery said it, from Penn State, the Maple Leafs select with the first pick overall Gavin McKenna, instead of like we choose you. Like, come on, bro. Like, just have a little like class to the thing. Like, it kind of looked tacky. You know what I'm saying? It looked tacky. And I would have went with Michael Myers over Justin Bieber any day, bro. A
No,
real Scarborough man, Maple Leafs fan. That's who my pick would have been still. But like, I'm happy McKenna's here. Matthews now is getting his playmaking winger ever since Marner left. You know what I'm saying? So now he has a guy that can find him like where he wants to be found, which is in tight spaces, and that's where he does most of his scoring. Matthews is an elite goal scorer. Now you're putting an elite playmaking superstar winger with Matthews. Like, this could be like better than Mitch Marner, like just based off of what Gavin McKenna brings. And I know I might be calling my shot too early, but this guy is a special talent. Like in the World Juniors, he led Canada in scoring with 20 points, I believe. You know what I'm saying? And everywhere he's been in his hockey journey, he's dominated. He dominated the WHL. He dominated in Penn State. There was a time in Penn State where he was scoring points in how many consecutive games down there, like, and that's unheard of. It's not unheard of. It's more rare in college hockey. You hear about like
Mhm.
6, 7, 8 point streak games, but like
Mm.
this guy was in double digit point streak games, right? So like obviously this is the right pick for the franchise. But overall, I think the Leafs had a great draft, like with who they selected throughout the course of the draft. Like they traded Brandon Carlo in the third round, and they were
Mhm.
able to get some more bodies and stuff. I like the overhaul on defense. I like the Balecki pick from Mississauga, and I like the
No, Kitchener,
McKenzie.
Kitchener,
Oh,
Kitchener.
sorry, so, no, no, he's from Mississauga, but he played for the Kitchener Rangers. He's
Oh
from
wait, no, Memorial
Mississauga.
Cup champion Kitchener Rangers. Let's.
Yeah. He's from Mississauga. You know what I mean? But he played for the Kitchener Rangers and he dominated. He was actually out there, like, so he has that pedigree of winning and stuff. And I also like the Ethan McKenzie pick. Like, he was on the World Juniors and he has a pretty cool story too, right? And
Mhm.
and he was playing with Ben Danford, right? We got Zach Olson, a big power forward type guy that can score in like the he's more like a power forward, but like a net front presence. He was dominating where he was, so that's gonna be good for the Leafs in the future. They got a Swedish defenseman at 76. They got a couple of goalies. Like, I kind of like what they did. Like, as far as like how they went about it, they also got this Russian. They got a mean. Montreal thinks they got the best Russian. They didn't get the best Russian. This Russian we drafted at 161, the man says he likes to hit things, bro.
That's pretty.
Yo, give me this guy. If you look at him, he reminds me of what's that guy that Rocky fought in Rocky 4?
Oh,
Drago.
Dragonov, like,
Ivan
yeah,
Drago.
yeah, Drago, bro. That's what this guy looks like, bro. So like the future looks bright. I think Chaika did a great job of replenishing the prospect pool with youth. You know what I mean? And I want to see more of Nancy, that kid we drafted last draft too. So like our future looks bright still. It looks bright. And shout out Jackson, who got drafted from the Cayman Islands to the Ottawa Senators. That was a good look still. The man was playing roller hockey, dog, like in the Cayman Islands, and he's in the NHL. So salute him. And also there was a Samoan, I believe, that got drafted as well. So the
Yo, they got
bloodline
some
is
phones
it's
in
not
hockey
just in,
now. That's crazy.
yeah, bro, it's not just pro wrestling, bro. It's in hockey. So overall, going back to McKenna, I'm happy, but I think this was a good draft overall for the Maple Leafs as a whole. They not only replenished the prospect pool, but they got off of Brandon Carlo for 2/3 to make those picks in the third round, which were very good picks, not reaches, but a lot of like insiders had those picks. Like later earlier on in the draft as opposed to when the Leafs got them. So I think they had a good, like, if I had to rate the Leafs guys, I'll give them like I'll give them a I want to say B plus, but I think like just based off of like how they drafted, I'll say a A, bro. I'll give them an A on the
I
draft
feel
still.
that. I feel that. I feel that completely. They were the only team that actually had a solid draft. Um, let's talk about San Jose for a hot second because like San Jose had what three first round picks,
They
three or
had four,
four.
but they traded one.
Yeah,
I think. Is that how it went? No. They had three. Was it three Avery or four? I can't remember. No, the trade for Kessling
Mhm.
yeah,
was move back in the draft.
yeah.
I think. Okay, so I got that wrong. My bad.
But the amount of picks that they had, and then of course also going for no, who picked up Stenberg? It was San Jose, right?
San Jose got Stenberg. They
Yeah,
got Verhoff.
yeah.
Mike Greer is a genius, bro. And
Yo,
they got Ryan Lynn.
G, no,
So
no, literally no pun intended, but
he's a
like the G.
genius. I love this guy as an Oiler, bro, because I always thought he played the game the right way. Like he
Mm.
he wasn't scoring 97 goals. He wasn't a Connor McDavid or one of those guys. But that
He
guy for
wasn't a
me
Ryan
was
Smith
like a
either, but like he was a solid dude.
yeah, he was a great role player, like a good locker room energy and presence, and a guy that you could definitely lean on. You know what I mean? So like, but what he did in this draft was crazy, bro. He got
Absolutely.
Steinberg. He basically revamped his defense by drafting Verhoff, who's who has a crazy comparable. This guy is going to be good. He's definitely going to be a 1A defenseman, Verhoff. And Ryan Lind is pretty good too. Like, and then he already has Sam Dickinson down there. Like, and then going down the middle is scary. Celebrini, Steinberg, Misa. Like the way he was able to get rid of Carlson, Timu Meyer, Thomas Hurdle, and just have those picks to be able to do this in the draft was crazy.
For real.
So crazy, bro. So shout out Mike Greer because the Sharks are gonna be scary in the future. They're gonna be so scary, bro.
Yo, could we
Celebrate
actually see?
Steinberg.
Could we actually see a San Jose Stanley Cup within the next couple of years, depending on how this team's gonna do?
See, I'm interested. That's one of the teams I'm watching during free agency because
Yeah.
where they are, like financially, like they got to spend some money.
Hmm.
You know what I want to see how Mike Greer is gonna spend the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never thought Greer was gonna get off at Eklund because Eklund was so good in San Jose. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Playing with Celebrini and Smith and stuff like that. He was so good, but to see him come off that and yeah, bro, like the Sharks definitely have a chance if they spend money to just add like more vet like Tyler Toffoli type pieces. You
Hmm.
know, winners with the championship pedigree that's been there before, that sniffed it, that's one. Like how he has Orlov on the back end. I don't know if he's gonna bring back Dmitry Orlov, but that would be a good defenseman that you could use to kind of groom these young guys coming up. You know what I mean? So if Greer spends money and acquires some pieces that can help these younger guys push forward, they're gonna be a scary team for years to come, bro.
Again, like I would love to see that happen. Of course, Avery, how are you good now? Like, yo, can we actually ask you some questions, or like, are we gonna hear garbling and just nothing?
I should be good now.
All right. Anyways, just catching up on things. Of course, we were talking about the draft before you ended up disappearing. Um, how do you feel about Mike Greer's masterclass in this year's draft? With say Steinberg, Veerhoff, and just a whole assortment of picks.
I would say one thing Mike Greer has done a really good job at is achieving young assets. And what he's going to do with them now, I'm very curious about to see. If he can turn them into pieces that can fit in with guys like Will Smith, like Maxim Celebrini, the Sounding Sharks are going to be a very straight team in the Western Conference for a long time to come. I know you guys mentioned could they be a cup team in a couple of years? Maybe not a couple of years, but I think definitely they could be a team to threaten, say, a plus series win a couple of rounds, and maybe in 3 years, then this is a cup contending team. But yeah, what Mike Greer is, I remember when Mike Greer was first hired in San Jose, after his first kind of hiccups and stumbles, people were suggesting, oh, you know what, Greer is meant to be a GM. He isn't making it work. But surprise, surprise, you give him some time, he finds a way to work, and he's done a phenomenal job in the Bay Area, guys.
I have to say, like, and unfortunately, this is gonna piss off some people, but I really don't care. Black people are doing the job that white people should have been doing in the first place. Just saying. Anyways, very happy to see that. Also, I'm a little upset with Buffalo. You had Chase Reed on the board, and you nuppied your way into, quite frankly, one of the worst picks within the top five.
Go
Of
shower. Go shower.
um, it, you had Chase Reed on the board, and you picked Daxon Rudolph of all players. Why?
It could be worse. You could be Chicago and have no picks in the first round.
Oh damn! Troy's in the building.
Yes, Troy.
Didn't realize Frank Grimes the third, or sorry, the African cousin of Frank Grimes, or Grimy, as Homer would like to call him, is in the building here. Troy, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Just some bottles at work.
All right.
It could be worse. You could be Chicago and have zero first round picks. So technically, everybody won but Chicago.
That's savage, bro.
Yo, yo, I don't get it. Like you have who oh, you had Connor Bedard, and you don't have any pieces to build around him right now. It's absolutely insane. Like, you had a chance to get Chase Reed on the board as a solid defenseman. That could have been like this year's generation of Duncan Keith or Patrick Sharp. And yet still you decided to piss away your first round pick to Buffalo and think you weren't going to do anything.
For
Are you
Bo
dumb?
Bram, for Bo Bram, Jordan Greenway, and somebody else. And you send a 45th. What did Chicago send? They sent a 45th pick, and they sent a defensive prospect that scored 20 goals last season.
That's insane. Oh wow. Okay. Not hockey related, but this is just coming in right now. The NBA is reporting that there is a massive trade package on Toronto's end for Kawhi Leonard. I know this isn't a hockey related topic, but like, this is also huge news considering that Leonard and the Raptors might be potentially getting married again. This is what the potential package looks like. Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, Trace Jackson Davis, who they just picked up his option, the team option on earlier today. Jamison Battle, a 28 first rounder, and a 29 first round pick swap. And this is potentially for Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, you got to do that deal, bro. You got to
Again,
do that deal.
You want to give them battle though? I'm fine with everybody else, but like, you want to give them battle?
I
We're gonna
don't
have
want to
to,
give them battle.
Troy. I don't want to give them battle, but I want to win. I don't want to give them back. This is like the same thing like with Matthew Nyes, bro. Oh, trade Nyes for Rowinski and this and that. I don't want to give up Nyes, but then at the same time I want to win, but I don't want to give up Nyes. It's one of those. I know Battle is not equivalent to Matthew Nyes. I'm not saying
No,
that,
no, no,
but
no. But like,
he's a good young roster player that you'd want to keep on your bench that could, shoot the three like exceptionally well, and he has perimeter defense, a little bit perimeter defense. He's tall, he's long. You know what I mean? So like you just don't want to get. And a lot of people, they've like, this is like a two-sided sword. I don't know how you guys, but a lot of people are still bitter about the way the man left. I know the man said he's only here for a year, bro, but you came here, bro. You won us over. You brought us to a place we never been. You gave us the shot, bro, in game 7 against Philly, bro. You took us through Milwaukee, bro. And you brought us to a place we never been before. That Raptors parade was serious, bro. It
I'm
wasn't.
telling you right now,
It was serious, bro. Like a lot of people are bitter because Kawhi left that way, bro. But like I think a lot of people would embrace it now because he not only improves the Raptors, but he's still Kawhi Leonard. He can take over any game when he wants to.
I'm gonna
You know
say
what I mean?
right now, like, the ripple effect from 2019 is still being felt to this day, and we are 8 years past that. Like, we have seen 8 different champions And we have seen 4, if not 5 different Raptor players that have gone on to either win championships, win massive accolades, or land like extensively stupid contracts. For example, Fred VanVleet secured the bag in Houston. Danny Green won his 3rd NBA title with the Lakers. Kyle Lowry went to the NBA Finals with Jimmy Butler. I don't think most guys can say that, right? OG Anunoby, Defensive Player of the Year, or sorry, All Defensive Second Team, NBA champion with the New York Knicks. Pascal Siakam, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Literally one game shy of actually being a 2-time NBA champion. Norman Powell, NBA All Star with the Miami Heat, and there's talk of him potentially leaving. Like the list can go on and on. Like the amount of like say Raptors alumni from that championship roster alone is still being rippled into the NBA as we speak, and it's like you have never seen anything like that. I mean, you don't have as much parity in the NHL as you do in the NBA, and obviously I want to tie this back to everything here. But at the same point in time, it's like it's creating such a massive just frequency shift in the NBA alone, where it's like we're seeing multiple different champions, and it's not talked about that like say the 2019 Toronto Raptors was essentially one of, if not the most stacked teams in all of in all of NBA lore within say this particular century alone. I mean, yes, you could argue Golden State was one of the best teams out there, but like you had practically 4 All-Stars, right? You had 4 All-Stars in Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Andre Iguodala, and Draymond Green. And then you added Kevin Durant at one point or another. You added DeMarcus Cousins. You added Anderson Varejao. You had a whole host of names. You even had Andrew Wiggins on that team back in like 2022. And yet still that team barely gets talked about as much. The Boston team barely gets talked about that much. Same with the Denver team that won. You know? Like there was a massive ripple effect on that particular Raptors title that I don't even know if like say like it's so mind-boggling to think that like say a team that won 8 years ago is still causing havoc in the NBA. It's still causing havoc in the Big Four right now because it's like Toronto winning that championship, that Toronto winning the NBA title that year really did a number on Canadian sport, and it really did a number on the Leafs because it really exposed a lot of things that the Leafs organization had been doing, and you know I guess the lack of just not care, but the lack of passion that we're seeing from the Leafs organization right now. And now that they're trying to fix the problem, it's like, I don't know if it's too little too late in this situation, but you know, you never know what could happen. And then of course now it's like you see Canadian heroes starting to develop. It's like, oh well, I was inspired by the NBA by the Raptors winning the NBA title in 2019. Look at Canadian men's soccer right now. Like they're starting to gel together and vibe together. Like as Avery was saying at the top of the show, like we were fighting. We were 109th in the entire world, and we were losing to teams like El Salvador and Costa Rica and Guadalupe, and like we were getting slapped by St. Lucia of all teams, and we couldn't even beat Jamaica in qualifying. And now look, we're in the round of 16. That's crazy. Look at Canada baseball. Canada baseball like literally went to what, a quarterfinal game of the World Baseball Classic. That's something that's never happened before. Look at women's soccer. Like women's soccer has been solid, but like we've won an Olympic gold medal. We've been at the top 4 for a while, and it's like obviously like I again not really conducive to the argument, but it's still something, you know. Like we're starting to see Canadian basketball teams start to make some noise because of the Raptors winning the NBA title. We're starting to see so many other Canadian players like just credit even Canadian hockey players credit the 2019 NBA title. You know, it again that has caused such a massive ripple effect on everything. And I know, folks, I know it completely different sport, but then again, anything and everything outside, like within the realm of Toronto. And I know this is like one of those situations where it's like, oh, Toronto feels like it's the center of the universe. Like again, you don't have seismic shifts that huge in North American sport without that particular title. Then again, disagree with me if I'm wrong here, guys. I'm noting by the silence that I'm kind of right in this situation, am I?
No, you are. You're absolutely right, bro. Like that Raptors championship did a lot for not just only Toronto, but like every province in Canada, bro. You've seen like more kids wanting to become involved in sports, not just basketball either, but in general, just seeing how the vibe was in Toronto and how happy we were and how proud we were to actually win the Larry O'Brien. You know what I'm saying? So no, you're definitely not wrong here, man. Not at all.
Avery, I know you've covered nothing but hockey out in Edmonton, and now of course you're spidering into Canadian ball, you're spidering into soccer, or excuse me, football. You're also doing Canadian football as well, and everything. And it's just like, would you agree with that rant I just literally went off on for like a good 5 minutes?
Right. Well, actually, well, first of all, don't apologize for saying soccer because soccer is a British term. It comes out of association football. So if people say if people back is calling soccer, tell them the Brits started on the term first. But also, but to your point and to you saying that you're right though. These teams like Canada Soccer, Raptors, they influence a lot in terms of getting people wanting to watch the sports and people wanting to be involved, be as a player, fan, whatever, whatever. And it'll be the same way with Canada when it comes to this World Cup, when it comes to where they finish. I mean, like I said when the show began, you play with house money. It's all sunshine and roses now. In fact, you're in the final 16. You know, you could get pumped up by Holland or Morocco, and you know what? There's still history either way. So
This this is just a microcosm of things, and it's like obviously you want it to affect a particular hockey team that has not won since 1967. Does it do something? Hopefully. Will it do something? Who knows? At this rate, all I just want to see is a blue and white Stanley Cup banner dating either 2027 or 2028 in the rafters of the Big Bank Arena at some point. And I know it may sound crazy. I know it may sound delusional, but at this rate, the Leafs are going to be off the cup as of next year. And I say this almost every episode. The Leafs are going to be off the cup as of next season. If Toronto does not figure itself out, I'm sorry, but like the last time or the next time you want to see the Leafs on the cup, you're gonna have to either go to the Hockey Hall of Fame or like you're literally gonna have to search it up on Wikipedia and find or go on YouTube and find highlights from 1967 in black and white and grayscale because that's how serious this is. But hopefully, hopefully, a guy like Gavin comes through and causes some damage. That's all I'm gonna say. Last but not least, what the hell's going on here? Because hockey in Houston, really? Are we really doing this again after the Houston Aeros failed in the 1970s? Avery, I'm gonna let you field this one here.
you know what? Yeah, what's the old saying? Money, 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 money. Money talks, and it's come out. Formally, we are. I mean, it was an open secret that the NHL and Houston have been talking expansion, and also, if not Houston, Austin, Texas is in the mix. So if the league goes to Texas again, it'll be between Houston or Austin as expansion. It's not a matter of if. Expansion is when. So we know it's going to be in most likely stages of two teams at a time. Most likely Atlanta and either Houston or Austin coming into the league. Make it a 34 team league and eventually we'll get to 36. But yeah, I'm not surprised. A lot of money in Houston. They've been trying to get an NHL team for a very long time in that market. It's one of the larger markets in Texas without an NHL franchise. So it doesn't shock me one bit that they're going to try and keep going in getting to newer markets. And you know what? Hey, they still had HL hockey in Houston for many years. So it's a market that has been trying to get in the league for quite some time. And I would say, on my prediction for a timeline for expansion of 34, I would say no later than 2029. You get these two Canadians to make it 34 to the NHL.
I'm gonna disagree and say that Kansas City should get a franchise over Houston first, only because it's like it's one of those markets where it's like you kind of need that, especially within the Midwest. And obviously there isn't. I know it isn't a hotbed for hockey, but of course, Kansas City, Missouri, or sorry, Kansas City, Missouri would be a great place to start, or even Kansas. Well, what's the capital of Kansas? What's the capital of the state of Kansas? I don't know anymore. American geography was never my forte, but then again, you know, American geography is never anybody's forte because nobody wants to get shot there. Anyways, all I'm saying is that Kansas City definitely deserves a hockey team over Houston right now. That's all that's kind of where my thinking is at, because it's like it's one of those big areas where it's just like, okay, yes, Houston does deserve an opportunity, but then of course like you're gonna have to throw another Eastern Conference team in the mix, right? And then where are you gonna put them? Like, are you gonna put them in Delaware? Are you gonna put them in like just, or are you going to have another Canadian team in Quebec City? Are we going to have a team in Halifax? Maybe, I don't know. But like again, even after the whole Atlanta situation, I would literally go Atlanta, Kansas City first, and then maybe Houston, and throw another Canadian team in the mix so you can have eight and you can have a full Canadian division right there. I don't know. That's just me. But Jason, what do you think? Unless
No,
in this,
I never disappeared, bro. No, no, I'm with you, bro. Like your sentiments are on board, bro. I'm just watching this game right now, Dutch and Morocco. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro.
Yeah, I think we're all focused on that right now. Troy, do you have any thoughts, real quick, on the NHL potentially expanding in Texas? Unless he's on buckle duty again.
Yeah. Troy, you there? Maybe you have to cut still.
Yeah. All right. Well, and that in that case, I think. Oh, hold on. He's coming back. He's coming back. Troy, you there?
Well, we think Troy is there. Oh, there he is. Now he's there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. Good night. Sorry, you guys are asking me about Houston, relocating to Houston, right?
Yeah, expansion.
Expansion.
Expansion, yes. Um, I think this time around they probably have more support and better ownership where they
Hmm.
can pull it off, especially in this day and age where you got to have NHL ready arenas with like the HD TVs and camera bays and stuff like that. I think especially if you're sharing a spot with the Houston Rockets. My understanding is that arena only needs a few more adjustments as opposed to having to build an entire new arena for this. Um, I know it's been something that's been on the mind, I guess, of like people with money in that area, where it's like, if, if we can have the stars, why can't we have another team in the state of Texas? Because they're probably looking at it from the sense of there are multiple cities with multiple teams, so why can't we be one of them? Even though it doesn't snow in Texas. I mean, sometimes it does, but that's just Nate just saying, giving us the big middle finger, like, yeah, you've done enough, right there. But yeah, other than that, I think it could work. Um, I don't know. I think you gotta give it a try. Do some preseason games, exhibition games, or something over there. See what the turnout's like, and then just talk to the people out in Houston. If they garner enough interest and enough people come out, give it a shot. It's just like the PWHL and these takeover games, right? You got to go
Yeah.
to these cities and play some games there and see what works and know if it's actually viable or not.
I agree with that. Honestly, again, for me, Atlanta, Kansas City first, Houston, and then maybe throw Hamilton a bone or throw Halifax a bone at this point. But I still feel it's too early for them to expand into Texas. That's just me. Like, could it actually happen and I could be putting my foot in my mouth? Maybe. But then again, who gives a damn at this point, you know?
Like, they've been through it, and Texas is a bigger market. You know what I mean? There's a lot of money in Texas with the oil and stuff like that, right?
Oh
So
no, I agree.
it is a money grab type situation, like Gary said. It's I'm Gary Avery. Sorry, Avery. My bad, bro.
Wow.
Big up man like
Wow.
Gary though. Big up man like Gary though. Big up man like Gary. But no, Avery, no, my bad. But Gary Bettman's still like, yeah, it's a money
Listen.
grab. It's definitely a money grab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Definitely a money grab. But it could be good for hockey because then you might get more people wanting to play in that part of Texas now. You know what I mean? Like you'll get more people wanting to become involved, like you know what I mean, and hopefully it's able to open up like a situation where the minorities can enjoy the sport like how I enjoy the sport and like how Troy and Avery enjoy the sport, and all the other like mixed races and different nationalities enjoy the sport. So it could be a good thing if they do it properly. They had a lot of test runs and a lot of failures, but you don't get success unless you fail. You have to fail in order to become successful. You just you don't wake up and become successful. So hopefully they do it properly and they do it like within 2029. You know what I mean?
Wow, Jason out here with the bars and just ending the episode on a good note, eh?
I think if Atlanta can get a team twice, if Winnipeg can get a team twice, hockey can work in Houston.
Fair enough. All right, so that's pretty much it for tonight's episode. Kind of a good discussion, eh, boys?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Anyways, we want to say big ups to Team Canada as they get prepared for their round of 16 match potentially against either Morocco or the Netherlands. We're going to keep an eye on that for you. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little more puck as the weeks come. Do a little, a little bit of a shorter episode for y'all during the summer. So if you still hear our voices out here and you still want to talk some puck, like obviously we're here. We're also going to give a big shout out over to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, reigning MVP, Canadian. We want to holler at the boy real quick. Shout out to our boy Alfonso Davies. Shout out to Vladdy Guerrero. Get your swing back and obviously, uh, start hitting some home runs again because like we're sick and tired of the Blue Jays being under 500 and we need that fixed. Shout out to a guy like Gavin. Congratulations on becoming a member of the Leaf Dem. Out here representing not only Indigenous pride but also just being yourself. And you know what, like box the homie who basically tried to dump your mom at Penn State. Honestly, that dude deserved a real box in his face for literally calling out your dukes. And equal rights, equal fights at this day. So at this day and age,
Facts.
that's
And don't forget, the Leafs need that type of piss and vinegar in the lineup, bro.
for real. Shout out to our boy Alexander Bilecki, of course. Like I said, Memorial Cup champion, OHL champion, with the Kitchener Rangers. Now a member of the Leaf Dem. Can't wait to see you in a Leafs jersey, or potentially a Marlies jersey, depending on what ends up happening. Maybe both. And of course, shout out to you, the listener, and the viewer. Thank you for letting us grace the space in between your head top. Of course, we can't do any of these episodes without you. So we're going to finish off this episode and go find out who Canada plays on America's birthday. So for Avry, Troy, Jason, and the whole crew, this is your boy Dave signing off for another edition of the Third Intermission podcast. Like I said, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and hit that bell on YouTube. Because once again, we be hitting you with new stuff every week. And of course, just follow us on the socials. So until next time, drink your water, mind your business. Let's go Canada, and deuces.